Welcome back to the Moonlit Circle, my sweet little moonbeams. It's Social Sunday. So if you're new here, I'm Gwendie Belle Moone, author, cosmic wanderer, and soon to be full-time creative. Apparently in the middle of a midlife, let's not call it a crisis. It's really not that serious. I'm doing it to myself. More of a plot twist, we'll call it that. So let's do some healing. You may notice that I'm dressed a little different. I'm actually Sally for Halloween. I'll put a picture up for you guys. So today's episode, it's about freedom. The freedom to lift your head from the algorithm and remember you're a living, breathing human being. You're not a hashtag. You're not somebody's pawn in their story. You have your own story, and lately it feels like everyone's life is being squeezed into this tight, highly curated little lane where everyone thinks the same and talks the same and walks the same, is the same. And I just want to scream, raise your head up, look around. There's a whole world outside your feed. Digitizing our world has been absolutely phenomenal, and it was meant to expand our reach and broaden our views. I mean, we have literally all the information at our fingertips 24/7. And somehow we found ourselves either watching cat videos or really in smaller and smaller echo chambers than ever. We were really narrowing down that algorithm, and it does what it's supposed to do for marketing, but what does it do to narrow your world? Don't take the bait, moonbeams, don't do it. Embrace the strange and unusual. Open yourself up to another point of view. I think sometimes we forget how to be surprised, and we've really leaned into being comfort creatures. We really don't like to not know and to not have a full understanding of what's presented to us. And, surprise is actually a sacred feeling. It's the lover's favorite emotion. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the messy and the magical. And yes, even the mildly alien things happening in my world this week. So, plot twist number 1 in Gwendie's world. I officially got confirmation that my nursing job ends this coming Friday, on Halloween. Interesting. And listen, I've done the emotional math, and that is 2 full decades of helping people heal, wrapped up in a single HR email. So it's a loss, but I'm actually going to be calling the first week of my unemployment my crossroads week, decompression chapter, if you will, between really the person I used to be and the one that I'm becoming. I'm a bit of a workaholic. I don't think that's going to change. So I'm taking a solid week for myself, just for me. And of course, during that week, I'll be daydreaming about all these bestsellers I'm about to be drowning in. And then come the next week, we'll get down to business. We're going to go balls to the wall, and full-blown Gwendie universe will be unleashed. I'm finally ready to build out this Moonlit Circle system. I've got projects, I've got content calendars running around in my head, and we've been sketching together little bits of this, with these the early readers and the early Moonlit Circle. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm really nervous to be diving into this head first and 100%, but I'm also wildly relieved because beginnings, like the waning moon, aren't failures. They're really rich nutrients in the compost meant to support and flourish whatever's next. So here we go. One thing that I did want to do was share some of book one with you guys. I don't believe that I have shared any of my book writing with you. I'm working to find a good portion for a vlog reading and a way to entice some ARC readers to come into the club. And, I did want to try a little sample of that here, and I do welcome feedback. I'll share with you a moment that's well into a particular scene when young Gwen is actually woken up in the wee hours of the morning by her little brother. She's brought into the living room, and then, 3 or 4 a.m., she's told in her sleepy state that her father has unexpectedly passed away. So that's where we enter this scene. I don't cry. Not at first. There's a place in me that goes quiet and watches itself. It's an odd spectator, too young to know the correct moves and too old to pretend ignorance. I slide down into Daddy's chair from the arm. I'm immediately met with the space where his body carved out his essence. Now the empty hole serves only to highlight his physical absence. And being in that place is a cold, private thing. All my smallness gathers there like unmovable dust. I say the words aloud because saying them feels like an experiment. Daddy's dead. I whisper, the syllables moving around my tongue like small animals. The sentence should be a knife or a comfort, but it's neither. It's just a thing that sits. Someone mumbles about what to do next. The world begins to reassert itself in practical terms. The funeral, the arrangements, the phone calls. The adults move with the clinical efficiency of people who have practiced turning grief into logistics. They make lists. They remind each other about the cemetery. They ask about clothes. Each practicality is a slap that says life must continue. The household reorders itself around the absence as if we could schedule it into a calendar. I watch them work and feel as if I'm seeing a play from the wings. The stage is too bright for me to step onto. Through it all, the indentation in Daddy's chair remained. I know that's a little heavy, but, this is a pretty raw and powerful story, and there are a lot of heavy places in it. To be honest, there's more heaviness than good, so brace yourself for that. That is the kind of books that we're looking at here. But that goes back to what I was saying about how we're really stuck in our algorithms. And a lot of people who say that they enjoy romance novels tend to fall for maybe the fantasy or the quick love stories, and maybe not so much going for the ones that evoke much more negative emotions. The ones where the guy gets the girl at the end and everyone's happy. So that's not this book. This is very real and raw and dirty. And so just want to make sure that my audience is prepared for that. Now, will it all be serious? No, absolutely not. But that brings us back to, authenticity versus being stuck in the algorithm. So let's talk about that a little bit, and how the internet has basically everyone trapped in a digital pressure cooker. We've been algorithm trained to act like clones. Same reels, same sound bites, same filters. But here's the real deal. Curation kills curiosity. If you want to grow in any way, a lot of stuff you're going to find on the internet is how to grow as a brand or how to grow as a creator, but this applies to you as a person, just a soul in this timeline. You really have to occasionally throw the algorithm off your scent. And it's there doing its job whether you like it or not. So you have to proactively throw that sucker off its scent. Post something messy, something true, something human. Search for topics that make you uncomfortable so you can learn more about them. Search for weirdness. Have you ever searched for why moss glows at night in certain forests? No? It's bioluminescence. It's pretty cool. It's known as, nature's own fairy lights. How do whales communicate across entire oceans without losing each other? Right? That's pretty cool. What color is space? Did you know it's actually not black? I mean, there's just enough light kind of seeping through the bits of the darkness that the space itself is really kind of a deep espresso violet. It's not actually black. That's pretty cool. Did you know why dandelions can survive in concrete cracks better than most houseplants and pots? There's a lot of reasons for that stuff, and the fun thing is that when you try to break your algorithm, you never really know where you're going to land, because that oddity of a question is going to open up your algorithm to a whole lot of other stuff. It's not just going to be about dandelions or the color of space. It's really impressive to watch that happen in real time and see what happens to your feeds. So take a chance. You are going to mess with your algorithm, so keep that in mind. But you can always put it back over time. Your algorithm will always come back. So my message today is really just to break free, get weird again, show your unedited sky, because the algorithm doesn't stand a chance against authenticity. And as cringy as that word is, it's the right word. It's, authenticity is rooted in love and curiosity. Don't let the algorithms really stipulate what your world turns into. All right, Moonbeams, it's time for our teaching journey. Here's a little lesson that I keep relearning. Uncertainty isn't the enemy. It's the dance floor. The unknown is where creativity lives, and it's where possibility hums beneath fear. This week's lunar phase is the waxing crescent, and currently, as of now, it's in Sagittarius, but it's actively moving into Capricorn. It'll be there by this evening. Sagittarius energy is really adventurous. It invites us to explore and expand and reimagine our own story. That's the energy that was guiding the better part of our weekend for you partiers. That's what was happening. But Capricorn, where we're heading into, actually regrounds our story coming out of that adventure. It reminds us that dreams need roots to bloom, and that's the energy that's going to carry us into Monday. So that's we do need to be regrounded for returning to work on a Monday. But I wanted to give you some tips on symbolism. In just giving you that bit of information, we talked about the symbolism of the waxing crescent moon. We talked about the symbolism of Sagittarius and Capricorn. Maybe I didn't tell you about the crescent moon. The waxing crescent moon is really all about hope, intention, small beginnings. It's the first sprout, if you will, of energy in a new cycle. It's not ready to harvest yet. It's not to the full moon. But it's proof that the seed was worth planting and that there's going to come a moment of fruition. And real quick, here's why symbolism matters. Even in an ordinary life, just your normal, ordinary, getting up and going to work Monday through Friday, ordinary life, especially when things hurt, when things are thrown off, when your cycles aren't really cycling. When we give an experience a symbol, it actually stops being so chaotic and starts becoming a story. Suddenly, stress isn't just stress. It's a wave to surf. It's a seed cracking open with a lesson inside. It's a moon turning toward light again. Using symbolism doesn't erase the pain or whatever stressors you're going through. But it does help to organize it. It gives it shape and rhythm and meaning. And it's how the heart makes peace with what the mind can't really solve yet. There was some of that in the excerpt that I read for you from book 1, in that, the heart makes peace with the situation in very interesting ways. You can see Gwen trying to figure out how the adults in her life were handling that stress, and trying to apply that to herself, because she didn't really know how to manage that moment. And so she had to look around to see what others were doing. She had to give that moment meaning with what the other people in her life were moving forward with. And that's how she learned to handle that situation. The real magic of a symbolic life, and just adding a little symbolism and ceremony to everything that you do, is that it helps you live with your story, not against it. Things happen, and you can wrap your head around those things. And sometimes you just got to give it a little creative nudge. So if you're feeling uncertain, try thinking of your unknowns as doorways and not cliffs. Give it a story. What's on the other side of that door? What does the door look like? Try to find some symbolism to add to those moments. So last week we talked about adding a section to our social Sundays for all things love. And I'm sorry, I can't sugarcoat it. There's been a lot of loss swirling around me lately. Friends and family facing end-of-life care, my own career winding down. It's been heavy. It's been pretty heavy. My first instinct is always to feel everything. There's an emotion, you have to feel it out. But too much empathy, as all you empaths are probably fully aware, too much empathy without boundaries becomes erosion. So here's what I've learned. I want to share this with you. Grief is a guest. It's not a roommate. You invite it in, you feed it compassion, and you wrap it up tightly in understanding and purpose. You rock it to sleep if you need to. But when it's time, you have to let it leave. And you have to give it some gratitude. You have to say, thanks for being here. I needed that. Because you do have to go through the paces. But when it's time, you've got to say goodbye to that grief. And that's different timing for everyone, but at the same time, when life throws you too much pain at once, all at once, it makes sense to be a little proactive about it, to not just go, okay, here comes the grief. I'm going to let it do its thing, and then I'll say goodbye when it's time to leave. To protect yourself from being swallowed up by the pain if you've just got too much of it going on. And we're talking stressors. When I say pain, it doesn't necessarily have to be the loss of a loved one or foreclosure of your house or a divorce. It doesn't have to be like the top stressors in this life, in this world. Everyone's got plenty of minor stressors, and let me tell you, you add 15 minor stressors, a couple of moderate stressors, and then a big whammy on top of everything else, and you've got yourself a situation. Stressors don't have to be those end all, I need to take time off work. It can be the everyday things. So when a big one comes along and you've already got your fill, what you've got to do is stay rooted in what glows. Don't let the negativity drown you, and add a little ceremony and a little ceremony and a little symbolism to it. Light a candle, plant something, write one line of beauty each day. say something nice to yourself in the mirror every morning. Because, loss and stressors, they really impede on what we love and our comfort and our joy. Loss takes what we love, but it can't touch the love itself. So really lean into the love and give that the symbolism that it deserves. If you've got just too much loss and too much stress in your life, you've got to lean into the good parts, and you've got to, create a little ceremony around them to celebrate the specialness of the good that is happening. That's probably a little esoteric, but I can't help myself. All right, moon babies, now it's time for the fun part. The sky is a little wild this week, y'all. Astronomers have been absolutely buzzing about 3i Atlas. That's that interstellar visitor currently on the far side of the sun that we talked about last week on Gwendie's Sunday Sky Map. This is only the reason why it's called 3, why it starts with the number 3, is because this is only the third object we've ever confidently identified as coming from beyond our solar system. And what makes it really intriguing is it's moving on a hyperbolic trajectory, which means it's not going to stick around. As it's spewing gases and dust, it's coming near the sun with water activity confirmed. It's actually like the tail, I believe, has gone from the front-loaded portion of the comet to create now a tail. And so the tail has actually reversed direction, which is wild. No one's ever seen that before. So quite interesting. And there's, some whispering about that and whether or not this is alien technology. But there's actually some more interesting cosmic whisperings going on, and that's the rise in attention to neutrinos. Those are actually little ghost particles that are streaming constantly from the sun and other energetic cosmic events, and we get hit with them all the time. Neutrinos are these itty-bitty little particles that are shooting through us, through our bodies, through our world, through the Earth on a regular basis. And observatories like the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory that's in Antarctica, they're tracking them as clues to like what's invisible, what's moving through us, what's stirring in the dark. There's a lot of linkage to like dark matter and things of that nature, and not a lot of answers yet. So some people are connecting the dots with, what if 3i Atlas, that is just a comet passing by, is actually something more? What if it's a catalyst that's stirring up solar activity? I'm just asking questions. Might bring out my Jesse Ventura for that one. What if it's actually a catalyst that's stirring up solar activity and nudging neutrino flows and shifting electromagnetic fields? Okay, now I'm not saying that aliens are landing tomorrow, but wouldn't that be cool? Personally, I'm going to put out some welcome snacks just in case. If they show up, they're getting moon water and banana bread, and maybe I'll share some of my new experiments in the world of granola. But in all seriousness, this week's celestial energy, between a waxing crescent moon in Sagittarius moving towards Capricorn, this ginormous interstellar visitor, the subtle hum of solar particles, it feels like a full-on invasion. This is one of those things that can break your algorithm. If you're not into this sort of thing, I'm very much, this is my algorithm. But if it's not your thing, if you start looking into this is definitely something that will break your algorithm. But it's an invitation to stay curious, not afraid, to listen when the universe whispers a message we aren't familiar with. This is really cool. Astronomers and the quantum physicists and things of that nature. Like, they're going wild right now. The idea here is to start tuning in to new and uncharted notions. Keep that head up, look around with curiosity, ask questions, try to actively stay away from being put back into the rut of your own algorithm. Because sometimes the disturbances we feel inwardly, that weird static, the restlessness, the ache of growth, are like cosmic particles hitting our soul's detector. They're little neutrinos, and we gravitate towards stuff like that when we feel the push. And if you're looking down at only your own heavily curated path, avoiding conflict and discomfort to the point of stagnation and rot, if you're like that, you're likely to miss the amazing visitors gliding so quietly in and out of our lives, like Three-Eye Atlas. Okay, folks, so as we wrap up this social Sunday under a hopeful waxing moon, here's your invitation, my loves. Unplug from the feed. Look at the real moon. Step into your own story, messy, unpredictable, and radiant. In fact, for this Sunday's sky map, let's take a deep dive into the big star of our little universe, the moon herself. So don't forget to watch for that post later today over on the Moonlit Circle on Facebook. Next week, we'll be kicking off new creative projects inside the Moonlit universe, and I can't wait to share with you what's next. If you feel something here, that pull towards freedom, a little twinkle of magical moonlight, or the urge to expand beyond your own algorithm, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Moonlit Circle on Facebook. We grow together over there one phase at a time. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be a part of this glowing little corner of the internet. Thanks for joining me on this journey, my Moonlit Circle. And remember, keep dreaming, keep wandering, and keep glowing. Bye, everyone. See you next time.